What's up? Ooh, that could have been dangerous. What's going on? What's going on? Happy Monday. Let me get my stuff together here. I hope all is well with you all. It's all well on this end. We are talking about work-life balance today. So I have a few tips on work-life balance, and then I have let's see, I have about 6 affirmations. So we'll go through those, and we'll go through the tips, and then we'll go through the affirmations. I have a few talking points there, and then yeah, that will be our live tonight. I'm excited to get things going. If this is your first time, my name is Debbie. I am a certified meditation coach and mindfulness coach. And if this is your first time on the channel, this is primarily a meditation and breathwork channel. And weekly I post meditations, but then also do these lives talking about different mindfulness tips. So again, today's work-life balance. My voice is kind of like jacked up, so let me grab some water, just a second. All right, so clumsy me, I got water all over the place. So hopefully y'all don't see my drippage, but yeah, I got water all over the place. It's okay, it's all right, it's okay. All right, so work-life balance. I think it's like important to start with what work-life balance actually is. I think it's like weirdly defined. There's maybe like a lot of like misconceptions when it comes to work-life balance. So what I'll do is kind of start with just the definition, and then from there talk about some different tips that I can think of just initially, and then go into the affirmations. So just to talk about like what work-life balance actually is, right? So it's the amount of time you spend on your job compared to the time you spend on your personal life, right? We knew that. Also just finding ways and minimizing work-related stress and establishing a stable and sustainable way to work while remaining healthy in your general well-being. So that's just like a blanket definition of what it is. So a few things that I want us to remember in going into the conversation of work-life balance. The first thing is you want to get an understanding of what work-life balance looks like for you. Hey Hiru, welcome in. Hey Kiki, welcome in, welcome in. Yes, you made it. Welcome in. So number one, just understanding what work-life balance looks like for you. What it looks like for one person may be totally different from what it looks like with the next person. So I think the first thing to remember is to not compare your work-life balance schedule or routine to other people. It's primarily based off of your own personal preference. It's primarily based off of your life, what your schedule looks like, what your family dynamic looks like. It's this like based off of a whole lot of things. So don't think it's one cookie cutter way or approach to work-life balance. Just understand that it is based off of you personally. So really what I tell people is when it comes to figuring out your own work-life balance is understanding what you need on a day-to-day basis. And then also just understanding, I'm good, John. Thank you for asking and welcome in. And just taking the time to take all of these tips that I may be giving you today and say, oh, I could use that, or, oh, I can't use that. Like that really doesn't really apply to me. So pick and choose what makes the most sense, and then make your own personal routine, right? So that's number one, to just remember, understand what work-life balance looks like for you. What is successful work-life balance? And what does that look like for you? Because what's success to one person is the success to another. Number two, routines. Routines are your friend. Everybody's routine is going to be different, but it is your friend. And having a routine is so important. One, because it begins to help eliminate decision fatigue. Decision fatigue is a thing, right? Like sometimes we're just so tired and exhausted from making decisions, right? So having a routine, something that you follow on a day-to-day basis that is the same every single day, you don't change it, you don't deviate from it, will help with creating space for you to make decisions on the big stuff, on the things that you have to make decisions on. So routines are not just for kids or for babies, right? Thank you, Marvel fan. Hey, hey. Routines are not just for babies, right? When we have children or we have babies, we put them on a routine and we feel like, okay, this is what's going to make this baby, get on getting this baby on a routine will help them process things better, will help them, be in better moods, not as cranky. Like there's so many reasons why we put children on routines. That doesn't go away when we become adults. Like the more that we put ourselves on a routine, the less cranky we are, the less decisions that we have to make, the less whining and complaining we do. If we can actually, perceive what's actually some things that's going to happen within a day, it makes it much, much easier. What we got in the comments. Oh, it's okay, Kiki. Things happen. It's perfectly okay. Welcome back in. Yes, nice to see you back. So perfect. So that's the first thing. Routines. Preventing decision fatigue. Preventing decision fatigue also helps when it comes to when it just comes to your when it comes to like automation. So like making sure to automate things as much as you can also will help with decision fatigue. Like if you're automating your bills, that's one less thing you got to worry about. Now, granted, some people can't automate bills, but automate the little stuff. Automate your Netflix, automate your, all of your little things. So that way, when it comes to the big decision purchases, whether it be, or big decision bills, like your rent and all of that stuff, your car payment, like all of that, you can focus on that stuff, where the small stuff, you're like, oh crap, like they done got me again. My Fabletics then came in, like just kind of automate as much as you can. Of course, no problem, Kiki. So when it comes to the routines, decision fatigue, I went through that. Okay, perfect. Next, get organized, y'all. Like the more that you are organized in your home life, and this is in addition to the routine, right? The more you get organized, the easier it will be for you to get through your day to day, and then also prevents decision fatigue, right? So for me, and this is just for me, and it may not be for you, but for me, decision fatigue is tough for me. Like I feel like I make 10,000 decisions a day, and it's frustrating, it's exhausting, it's tiresome, it creates burnout. So for me, the most important thing is trying to figure out how can I make less decisions today. That's pretty much it. Thank you, Trey, for your compliments. I appreciate it. Yes, you can. There's a way to donate the thanks button. Thank you, Kiki. But yes, so making sure to figure out how you can become more organized to help prevent that decision fatigue is my brain. Decluttering. Like a lot of times it's hard for us to figure out what to do with our day because we have so much clutter. We have so many things happening. And the clutter adds to that fatigue, right? It adds to that exhaustion. Clean out your car, y'all. And I'm that person. Listen, get the shoes out your car. Get all, like just figure out ways to get yourself organized and to make things more efficient. Now, granted, maybe shoes in your car is more efficient, but figure out a way to where it's not overwhelming you, where everything isn't cluttered. So think about your space, but also think about your technology. Is your desktop cluttered? Is your emails cluttered? Do you have so many notifications that you need to, either minimize them or shut some of these things off, unsubscribe to emails? Like figuring out like what little things are creating stress that you can eliminate. So that way it makes it one less thing that you have to think about on a day-to-day basis. So it's going to take some self-reflection. It's going to take some self-awareness, but take notice of things that are adding to your stress, right? Another thing with that is notifications. Like get your work email off your personal phone. You turn off, if you have to have Slack on your phone, turn off notifications after a certain time. Just thinking about those things that are keeping you from your sanity, right? So yes, get organized and declutter. And then one other thing too is to forget about 50-50 and that being balanced. There is no 50-50, right? There are going to be some days that are going to be heavier work days, and there's going to be some days that are going to be lighter work days. So when we think of balance, I think the first thing we think about is 50-50. And that's probably what is kind of throwing us off and getting us more and more frustrated. Eliminate 50-50. Think about what work-life balance success looks like for you and go off of that. Some people have to work longer hours. Sometimes some people have to or want to, work, a job and do something part-time, whether it be like a hobby that makes them money or a business that they're running. So don't think of it as, oh, it has to be 50-50. It's more so of what am I doing now and how can I find a way for work-life balance the way that things are now. Now, doesn't mean that there may be some instances where you have to pull back or you have to undercommit in some areas or you have to say no in some spaces, yes. But don't immediately think of 50-50. Just think about what success looks like for you. So when it comes to the last point for this before we go into the affirmation is affirmations are strategize and be proactive, right? Figure out ways that you can, again, automate. Find ways that you can automate things within your life. Find ways that you can get more organized. Find ways to eliminate anxiety or worries. To-do lists, right? That's one of the good things for me is having a list. And then also too, I just talked to my sister about this earlier. Like if you are someone who has a lot of mind racing at night, where you're at night, you're just kind of thinking of all of the things that you have to do, write it down. Write out a list of all of the things that you have to do the next day. And then that eliminates it from having to be on your mind. Because most of the times when you're worrying about all of the things that you have to do, it's because you don't want to forget it, right? So it's like, okay, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this, I got to do this tomorrow, I got to do this. And we're relying on our memory, right, to try to get everything done. Why? Stop. Write it down. Write down your list of all of the things that you have to do. And then once you write it down, now that eliminates you having to remember, and then you can go to bed and go to sleep at night. So thinking about those little things that may seem little but are creating anxiety and stress, whether it be right before bed or just throughout the day, and find ways to eliminate that. One thing is batching tasks. like taking the time to figure out all of the tasks that I have to do in a week and maybe batching them together, or having a day for it. You have laundry day, you have, this day, Wednesdays is my groceries day. This day is, my day to, get all of my appointments and everything set. This day is my planning day. This day is my food prep day. So like figuring out ways to batch all of your tasks, so that way it's easier for you to manage and it keeps you on a routine. So now every week, okay, Wednesday, I gotta go get my groceries for the week, and then I'm set. I don't have to keep running back and forth to the grocery store. In the mornings, I know that every morning at 7 a.m. I work out for 30 minutes. So like figuring out how you want it to, what makes the most sense for you, and be honest. If you know you ain't getting up at 5 a.m., then don't put that on your routine. I know I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. to work out. I'm not doing it. So be realistic. Think through what makes the most sense for you. Don't be overzealous and try to figure out like, okay, if I wake up at 5 a.m. and then I go to bed at 11 p.m., then I'll be able to get all my stuff done. No, like really, really think through it. Eliminate things that you can eliminate. Automate things that you can automate. But yeah, so that's the last point that I had, just an overview. So I have 6 affirmations that I'm going to share in regards to work-life balance. As I say every week, feel free to use these affirmations however you wish to. If you want to write them down, hey Shaphonia, welcome in. If you want to write them down, if you want to put them on Post-it notes, if you want to record yourself saying these things, however you want to do it, use these affirmations however you wish to. Also, if you need to change the language, if something doesn't make sense, feel free to do that too. If it doesn't sound true to you, change the language so that way it sounds true. So yes, absolutely. The honesty, yeah, we always try. Listen, you have to be honest. Like, I know for a fact I'm not getting up at 5 o'clock. But I will say, find ways to where you can start your day not in a rush, right? Because rushing is what creates the stress. That means if you start the day and you're rushing, like, I gotta do this, gotta do da, that's building cortisol, which is the stress hormone in your body first thing in the morning, right? So then that's just gonna carry through with you all the way through the day. So if you're starting your day in stress, it's going to be hard for you to have a work-life balance. You're going to continue to be stressed. So a change may be waking up 30 minutes earlier than you typically wake up, or an hour earlier before you typically wake up, because that one gives you a sense of calm when you wake up, because you're like, oh, okay, I got, 2 hours instead of 30 minutes to get dressed. I can take my time. I don't have to jump up out of the bed. I can lay here for about 10 minutes before I get up. Like, just figuring out ways to eliminate the rush is what's most important for your morning routine. It don't got to be 5 a.m. So just keep that in mind. But number 1, first affirmation. Yeah, absolutely. Make it fun. And definitely don't, again, be honest. Like, just don't say you want to get up at 6 a.m. or you're going to get up at 5 a.m. if you're not. Some people are morning people and they'll do that. I get up at between 6 and 7. That's typically when I get up. And I give myself 2 extra hours. So that way, if I get up at 6 and I don't feel like it, I can still lay for about 30 minutes and not feel bad about it. You know what I mean? So just think about how that works for you. And then I'm careful with the alarm I use, because sometimes the alarms that we're using create anxiety. So thinking about maybe changing your alarm to a song, or changing your alarm to something that's softer, that kind of builds, so that way it's not super like Now, some people need that. Some people say that they need that, and when I've given this advice before, But then when they tried, they're like, oh, well, actually, I still woke up, so it was fine. It was just more pleasant. So think about how the alarms you're using. Think about everything. Analyze everything that you're doing and seeing what actually is creating you stress. Okay, so number one, the first affirmation, I honor my boundaries and protect my personal time. Quick and easy. I honor my boundaries and protect my personal time. I honor my boundaries and protect my personal time. Know your limits, y'all. Know your limits. Set boundaries and expectations, and set those boundaries and expectations based on your limits, right? Again, be honest. Know what your limits are. Like for me, I like the fact that I can start work a little bit later. Like I can start for my job, I can start between 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. There is no like hard start time. So some mornings when I know that I gotta get a lot done, I'll start a little bit earlier. When some mornings when I know that I can like relax a little bit, then I'll start at 10. So I have a little bit more like flexibility. But I know that I can't do jobs that I gotta start at 7 o'clock in the morning. Like, unless I choose to, unless I want to. But I'll do 7 o'clock in the morning for something I'm passionate about, but I'm not doing 7 o'clock in the morning for my regular job, right? So like, know your limits. I know if I do a job that starts at 7 a.m. that I have to actually drive to, I'm getting fired because I'm not doing it. Like, no, I don't want to do that. So I know my limits. And sometimes it's maybe easier said than done to find a job, depending on what your industry is, and have like something a little bit more flexible. But know your limits, set your boundaries, and like when it comes to looking for work, look for a job that fits your boundaries, right? But yeah, so set boundaries and expectations based on those limits, and then scale back when you are overwhelmed. Now, granted, we do know that there are going to be some times or some points in life and in our jobs that we're going to be stressed. That's a given. We know that's going to happen. But when you are at your limit. When you're at capacity. There's a difference between managing the normal work stress, and when you're up here, like you're burned out to the point where you can't function. You know what that feels like. So don't use overwhelmed and abused overwhelmed, right? Because there's a lot of times we're overwhelmed and we can still manage, and there's sometimes we're overwhelmed and we cannot manage at all. Understand when you are overwhelmed and when you need to scale back. If you see yourself getting there, what can you do in those moments to help yourself pull back but still be productive, right? So thinking about all of those things and what that looks like for you personally. Again, this takes self-awareness, and it's sometimes not the easiest decisions to make, right? Sometimes you're gonna have to make some tough decisions when it comes to setting your boundaries and your limitations. And then trying not to overcommit. That's me. I don't know if it's the ADHD in me. I don't know. But I tend to overcommit sometimes. And so understanding when you're overcommitting, understanding your limits, really thinking through those things and making decisions based off of that. And learning to say no. Sometimes you're just going to have to say no, and sometimes you're just going to have to choose yourself. Okay? And I'm saying that as someone, I'm talking to myself, because I of course am a coach, but I'm not perfect. There's some times where I may overcommit. There's some times where I may get to a point where I'm overwhelmed or frustrated, and I have to make tough decisions. And that's just a part of life. We're human, so don't beat yourself up about it. Just make the changes that you need to make, right? So that was number one. I honor my boundaries and protect my personal time. Number two, my work is important, but my well-being is critical. My work is important, but my well-being is critical. My work is important, but my well-being is critical. Stop compromising your well-being for work, okay? Stop compromising your well-being for work. Now again, Stress will come. All of our jobs are going to have some form of stress. That's just going to come with it. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where you are at a point of you are compromising not just who you are, but compromising your health, right? If you are so stressed out about work that your hair is falling out, or if you're so stressed about work that your health and you're getting these different diseases are popping up, these aches and pains and all of these things, really figuring out how you can prioritize your well-being within your job. So that means if you need to take more frequent breaks, if you need to have a conversation with your manager about what's going on, if you need to regroup, or if you have to walk away. Whether you're able to advocate for yourself and vocalize when you need support in your job. I just did this recently with one of one of my jobs, but with one of my jobs, I vocalized and I advocated for myself, and I said, the way that this is set up, it's not the best for me, and I don't think that I can deliver the way that you want me to deliver based off of the way that this is set up. Is there any way that we can make an adjustment? And I came with solutions, right? So if you want to advocate for yourself in a certain situation, come with solutions. Come with an idea of like what makes the most sense for you, and present that as a solution. And thankfully, my manager listened. She heard me out. She talked to her manager. They made a decision to adjust what I asked for. And then they let me know the next day, hey, okay, so this is adjusted. This is effective immediately. You're all set and ready to go. And now I'm in a better space to be successful, right? So you have to advocate for yourself in those situations. Not everybody has the manager that I have. I get that. Some managers are not going to budge. I 100% get that, but you don't know until you ask, right? You don't know until you have a conversation. If you're not sure how to articulate it, and you're concerned about articulating it in like a meeting or a call, write it out in an email, right? So that way you have time to kind of figure out how you want to say it, and put it in chat GPT, be like, listen, make this more professional because I don't like how I said this. And then email it. Like, figure out a way for you to advocate for yourself that makes the most sense for you. So I'll leave that there. That was number 2. My work is important, but my well-being is critical. Number 3, I handle challenges with grace and stay calm under pressure. I handle challenges with grace and stay calm under pressure. Remaining calm while you're under pressure will help you not to bring work home, right? You want to try to prevent yourself from bringing work home as much as possible. Is it easier said than done? It is definitely easier said than done, especially depending on your industry and your job. Some people have very high stress jobs where it's inevitable. It's going to come home with you. But trying to figure out ways to minimize that as much as possible is important, especially if you work from home, right? So a lot of times if you're working from home, like I work from home, you're going to have a little bit more difficulty with separation of that. So having things in place that, helps you separate work from personal makes the most sense. One thing that I just actually heard is to change your clothes. If you're working from home and you're done work, jump in the shower, change your clothes, put your night clothes, your pajamas on, put something more comfortable on. Some people work in their pajamas. Listen, I'm that person. Okay, listen, if I don't have no calls that day, you best believe I'm working in my pajamas, okay? But you can still even change your clothes. I like to also wash my face. That just kind of signals to my body that this is work time is over. That's just kind of like a physical thing that you can do. Having a workstation that you can walk away from versus working on a couch or working and sitting in the bed. Those are different things. You can see on my side, on my desk, I have like a light Yeah, so I have like a light right there. So as soon as work is over, I shut that light off and it don't come back on. And this section of my house is dark, okay? When I'm done work. So having a way to actually separate yourself from that makes the most sense. Thank you, Purple Pig. I thank you. Thank you, thank you. Skincare. Listen, I just wash my face. That's pretty much it. I actually have been doing a dial regimen, but yeah, that's pretty much what I do. Where was I at? Um, I was at, I can handle, wait, did I skip one? I think I did, y'all. Oh, no, I didn't. I handle challenges with grace and stay calm under pressure. That's where I was at. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So yeah, so that's what that is. Just making sure to remain calm while under pressure. That will help you not bring work home. It also finding ways to be optimistic in your job, finding ways to not stress about the little stuff is important. Again, that's easier said than done, but that also comes down to advocating for yourself and making sure that you are setting yourself up for success. And sometimes your manager may not notice that they're setting you up for failure. They may just be thinking about whatever they're thinking about in their scheduling or whatever. So advocating for yourself is important when you're under pressure. Asking for support and help from your colleagues and stuff is important when you're under pressure. A lot of times we put a lot of pressure on ourselves in our jobs because we're afraid to ask for support or afraid to let our managers or team know that we need help. So thinking about all of those things. Number 4, yes. I prioritize rest because it fuels my productivity and joy. I prioritize rest because it fuels my productivity and joy. I prioritize rest because it fuels my productivity and joy. Rest is also productive, y'all. Rest is also productive. Breaks are also productive, right? Taking breaks throughout the day is also productive because you have to give yourself a break in order to be able to, sometimes you got to give yourself a break just to kind of think through what you need to think through and then be able to come back and then resume what you were working on. But because for me, sometimes I'm trying to figure something out, and I'm like, I get so frustrated. I'm like, you know what? I need to just walk away. Give me 10, 15 minutes. Let me go, out and stand on the balcony for a couple of minutes and just get in some fresh air and do a couple of do some deep breathing or something like that. Just finding ways that you can fit in breaks throughout the day is important. If you get a break and you don't normally take your break, take your break. Okay, take your break, y'all. Don't be eating and working through your break. Don't do anything for anybody else on your break. You take your break. Eat your food. Go sit in the car if you have to, because sometimes if you sit in the break room, people coming in there asking you questions. If you work in like a very high stress job, leave. Like if you can, go outside, go to the car, because my sister works in nursing, and nobody wants to be sitting, in the emergency room eating their lunch. Like you're still hearing things over the PA. You're still seeing people running back and forth. You're hearing patients in the waiting room. Like you're still doing, like leave. So thinking about what that looks like for you. And, even when it comes to like cafeterias, go grab your food and then maybe go sit outside if you can. So thinking about what that looks like, but take your break. Don't eat at your desk. And I'm talking to myself because sometimes I eat at my desk at home. Don't eat at your desk. If you're working from home, move away from your desk. Maybe go sit somewhere else, sit on the couch or whatever. But think through what that looks like. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Yes, short breaks Also, short hard stops for work. Like if you are at the end of your shift at 5, you at the end of your shift at 5. Your hours is from 9 to 5. Okay? So listen, once that dial hits 5, close that laptop and be about your business. Don't give these people more time than they're supposed to have. Okay? Now if you want to, that's fine. If you get paid overtime, you get that time and a half, get your points. Okay? But at your end time, that's your end time. Don't give these people more time than they're supposed to have. It's different if you work, if you run a business or you have a passion or something like that. Like that's different. But these 9 to 5s, give them just that 9 to 5. Okay? Um and yeah, that was it. So I prioritize rest. Go to bed, y'all. Go to bed. Go to sleep. Get your rest. Don't be up scrolling unless you watching me. Don't be up scrolling. Don't be up just put your phone away. Like put it on a charger. Put your phone on a charger away from the bed, so that way you're not like tempted to grab it. Because once you get into bed, you in the bed. Like go to sleep. Get your rest. If you gotta force yourself to go to sleep and put yourself in different situations so that way you go to sleep, whether it be taking your shower, getting some calming essential oils, whatever you need, but playlists so that way you go to sleep, listening to ocean sounds, whatever you need to do, but go to bed. Okay. What else? Okay, so that was number 4. Number 5, I have 2 more. Number 5, caring for myself makes me better in all areas of my life. Caring for myself makes me better in all areas of my life. Caring for myself makes me better in all areas of my life. So if you can't prioritize work-life balance, all other areas of your life are going to suffer. If you cannot figure out a routine, if you cannot figure out what that balance looks like for you and be proactive and be strategic about it, other areas of your life are going to have trouble, right? Whether it be your social life, your romantic life, whether it be just your personal day-to-day tasks and getting your cleaning done and getting just all of those areas are going to suffer, which is going to create more stress, right? So if you're not making work-life balance a priority, and however that looks for you, then everything else will have trouble. So caring for myself makes me better in all areas of life. And lastly, number 6, I design my schedule in a way that nurtures both my personal and career goals. I design my schedule in a way that nurtures both my personal and career goals. I'll say that one more time. I design my schedule in a way that nurtures both my personal and career goals. Control what you can control. And what you can control and what you have 100% control over is your routine, right? So you may not have control over your work schedule. Some people do, some people don't. That's okay. But figuring out your routine surrounding that schedule is what you can control. So really sitting and planning it out, using a planner, whatever makes the most sense for you when it comes to using a planner. So I'm kind of been going back and forth with a written planner versus my phone, right? Because sometimes if I use my phone, I can do that. I can use that more so for my calendar. But when it comes to notifications, sometimes I shut notifications off. So I may not get all of the notifications that I may set up. So I'm still trying to figure out if I want to switch back to written or not. But figure out what makes the most sense for you. Not relying on your memory, using ways to do to-do lists and calendars and having things set up and planned, blocking out your time. Like I said earlier, batching, your tasks. If you have more tasks that you hate doing, like if you hate doing certain tasks, put them on lighter days, thinking it through to the point where you're like, okay, I have an actual routine. And if I follow this routine every day, then it will become more and more natural to me. What else did I have here? Finding time for you throughout the day, even if it's 5 minutes. Finding little pockets of time that you can have time to yourself, or do something for yourself, even if it's taking some deep breaths, even if it's just walking away and giving yourself some space, even if it's taking a quick walk. Some people some people enjoy sitting in the car. Like sometimes I'll leave out of the house because I'm working from home. I'll leave out of the house and go for a drive. I'll go for a 5 minute drive, just drive down the street, come back, just to give myself some fresh air, give myself just something different to look at instead of these four walls, right? So thinking about what makes the most sense there. I already talked about writing out lists and automating your life. Let me see what else I have here. Figuring out your time management. Writing down things you worry about. Planning out your meals. Like, I feel like deciding what I'm going to eat is the most difficult decision of the day. Like, figuring out what I'm going to eat is sometimes just difficult for me. So if that's something that you struggle with, meal prepping, figuring out how you can meal prep. Maybe you eat the same breakfast, every day in a week, and then the next week you try something different. Planning out your personal grooming and workouts, like thinking through that. Even when it comes to, like, if you can't afford, sometimes we're like, when it comes to vacation, it's like, I can't afford a huge vacation. Taking mini vacations. Is there somewhere around you that you can drive somewhere for a weekend, right? Is there something, I did this a couple of times last year where I just did weekend vacations where I would leave on a Friday after work. I would go fly somewhere that was less than 2 hours, 2 hours in a flight, stay there for a weekend and do something, whether it be like I'll, buy concert tickets in another city, and go there, go to the concert, maybe see the city for one day, and then, come back. Or I work from home, so sometimes I'll stay there for that Monday, work in a hotel, and then, drive back. So, like, figuring out ways for you to fit in some you time, by doing mini vacations instead of these long, drawn out 7-day, 10-day vacations. It's probably why a lot of us don't go on vacation, because it's like, I don't have time to do all of this. So thinking about that. Midday walks is something else that I do. So yeah, I think I went through all of, like, the tasks or all of the tips that I have in here. But I hope that these were helpful, y'all. I hope this sheds some more light on work-life balance and what it looks like. I'll go back to this top just to make sure that, just in case anyone that came in missed any of the affirmations. The first one was, I honor my boundaries and protect my personal time. Number 2, my work is important, but my well-being is critical. Number 3, I handle challenges with grace and stay calm under pressure. Number 4, I prioritize rest because it fuels my productivity and joy. Number 5, caring for myself makes me better in all areas of my life. And number 6, I design my schedule in a way that nurtures both my personal and career goals. I hope this was a blessing, y'all. And if there is, I think this was the still from our, yeah, I think this was still from our actual poll from maybe 2 weeks ago. So we have one more. I think the next one is self-care, if I'm not mistaken, which is a great piggyback to work-life balance, because it kind of goes hand in hand. So we'll talk about self-care next week. And then from there, we will do a new poll. But if there is anything else that you guys want to make sure that we talk about, if I haven't already talked about it, definitely we can put it on the list for the next poll. And yeah, you guys have a great rest of your night. It is, graduate school update. Listen, trying to be a therapist, y'all, but this is stressful. Okay. Okay. But no, I'm in my finals week. I have A's from both classes. I just have to wait for my final paper grades to come in. But after this week, I will be done with my second quarter. Great, Hiru. You're welcome. I'll be done with my second quarter and be going into my third. And it looks like I'll be moving forward, hopefully, to get to my internship by next summer. So that's exciting. And then I'll be done and graduated in 2020, at the end of 2026. So it's actually not a lot of time. So graduate school is going great. As much as I am learning, I will definitely bring it back to you guys. But until next time, you all have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you next week discussing self-care. Bye.